Hello, fellow Voyagers. Jess here with Odyssey Human, here today to talk about how the words you use actually allow you to time travel. Welcome to the channel. This is a place where we help you hack through the jungles of consciousness so that you can discover the hidden treasures inside of you. My friends, it's all there, ready and waiting to be activated by you, through you, and for you. If that sounds good, please subscribe. We'd love to have you join us on the channel. Happy holidays. It is the holiday season here. And I wanted today to talk about time travel because, I've referenced time as an aspect of who you are in previous videos, specifically the one about gravity. If you haven't checked that out already, I would start there because today's video kind of builds on that foundation of language as time. Language as time. Scientists, as of the day of this recording, really don't know where our perception of time is generated. What part of our brain generates our perception of time or keeps time for us. There are certain areas that contribute to the sensation of time, but really they haven't really found a centralized region, which to me tells me that there are several factors going into our perception of time. And what is time? Let's redefine it today. Time is the linear progression of change. Time is the linear progression of change. So time, we talk about it marching on, right? It marches on as things change. Our 3D experience changes, and we perceive that time changes. As the numbers on the clock increase, we perceive that time changes, right? And it is a variable that is constantly in our perception and our awareness, right? We're always kind of keeping tabs on what time it is because that is a variable that we constantly schedule our lives around, right? Today, tomorrow, 2 o'clock, 7 p.m. tomorrow, right? We are constantly basing our experience on what time is it. But I do want to point out that the way that we really work with time and literally time travel and manipulate time is with language. So our affirmations that we're using, the story that we're telling about something, and in reality creation, we're constantly referencing telling the story of how you want it to be. Tell it how you want it to be as opposed to how it may appear. How things may appear is old news. We want to describe things how we want to be because literally, when you think about the definition of time, the linear progression of change, if you describe your situation in a way that is different than how you're demarcating it right now, you're literally time traveling. You are literally putting yourself in a changed perspective, right? You believe, okay, this is how it is right now, but really I would like to manifest it differently. I would like to preemptively, predictively be in the changed state. That's the whole point of reality creation. So manifesting is really the process of time traveling. It is the process of time traveling. And what we do is that we remove our attention from what we think is happening or the old story or the old version. We remove our attention from that. We start to tell a new story, right? We're describing the change predictively, saying this is how it is now, or this is how it's going to be. And then we are conditioning ourselves as that person. We're playing the character that already has our desire. We are being the version of ourselves for whom this is already true, right? We are anchoring the truth of who we are as the whole into one point where this change has occurred, is occurring, has already occurred, is going to occur. However you perceive time to be figuring into this, you're predicting change, right? You're betting on this change happening and conditioning yourself to it. So really manifesting is time travel. When you think about it like that, it is time travel. You're going to the point of change before you perceive it actually being physically manifested. And that's where you're putting your energy, right? That's how you're conditioning yourself. So, when you do that, when you tell a new story, you're time traveling. And when you really believe it, like when you really believe it, our belief is where we put our energy, where we invest our energy. You are then, mentally, the story begins mentally, right? With the thought. You tell the story, you're using language to describe this changed location, this changed circumstance. And then you're getting your body invested, because when we condition ourselves, that's where we invest our energy. It's where we invest our energy. So then you're conditioning yourself to the changed situation, right? So you're getting your mind and your body involved with the belief. And then you collapse time with dopamine. So dopamine is the reward hormone, among a few other functions. But really, when you're doing something that you feel is rewarding, that it is intrinsically pleasant and pleasurable for you, you get a dopamine hit. For me, I love crossing things off my to-do list. I get a little dopamine hit. That dopamine hit keeps you doing the thing. It keeps you doing it, right? The behavior is pleasurable. You get the dopamine hit, you do it again. And dopamine actually changes our perception of time. They have done research studies about how dopamine messes with our perception of time. Now, we know this anecdotally from when we're having a really good time, we're really in the present moment, we lose ourselves, right? We're in a flow state. We're totally enjoying what is happening. That feeling, that presence, that just I'm here now and I'm really loving it, that in itself collapses time. Because our brains, when we're kind of flooded with this dopamine, our brains have a harder time perceiving, our normal tick, tick, tick of time. Have you ever lost yourself in a hobby and it's like several hours later and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I just started this? What happens is that dopamine rush, the presence, the fact that we aren't ruminating in old memories, that creates a contraction of time where we feel like we just started painting, but really it's been several hours. It actually collapses our perception of time, right? You know this to be true. You have found yourself in this situation. And part of also how we earmark time is with memory, right? If I ask you, what did you do yesterday morning between 10 and 11 a.m.? If you did what you normally do at that time, or it tends to blend in, right? If you didn't make a unique memory during that time, we forget. We forget where we were, what we were doing, right? Our brain and memory serves as a earmark of time, right? We associate a unique memory, something that novel that we were doing, as along our timeline. That's how we kind of connect them. And so if you did something mundane, like you were just working, you probably don't remember what you were doing yesterday between 10 and 11 a.m. if you were just doing what you always normally do. Whereas if between 10 and 11 a.m. yesterday you had some unique memory formed, maybe somebody knocked on the door that you hadn't seen in 20 years, and you had this amazing reunion, you would remember that. You're like, oh my gosh, this person showed up, you would remember that. It was remarkable. Remarkable in your memory. And this is why when you lose yourself in the present moment, when you're having a really fun time and you're not, you lose track of those memories, right? You're very present. You're very consumed with what you're doing in these flow states. That's also the feeling of the contraction of time, is just pure presence, right? You are consumed in the activity. So when you are affirming, some questions I have for you of your successful time travel as a reality creator is just to remember before I start to ask the questions. I want you to remember that this is actual time travel. You are asked to believe something before it is physically manifest. That is the whole point. You're putting yourself in a state of it already existing, mentally and physically. When you are doing your affirmations, when you are telling a new story, does it feel good to you? This is also one of the things I think people can get hung up on, is that their affirmations or their story doesn't feel good. If it doesn't feel good, it's not rewarding to you, intrinsically rewarding. If it's not, like I said, neutral or pleasant, like if it's unpleasant, if you say your affirmation or your new story and it doesn't feel good to you, you're still holding on to that old identity, right? We want the dopamine hit. We want to collapse time. We want to close the gap from where we perceive that we are to where we want to be. We do that with the dopaminergic payoff of feeling good when we say our affirmation, feeling good when we tell our story, feeling good because we're visualizing the changed state, right? Feeling good, or at least neutral in the least. It's when we get that kickback of resistance. Resistance is what? We're still committed to the old version of ourselves, to the old story, to the old, well, this is how it is. And who are you serving in that? My question is, if you're feeling that, if your affirmations and your new story and the words around your manifestation, around your desired reality don't feel good, emotionally, they don't feel good, why are you holding on to the old version? Why are you believing more in that? Because you are the all. We've been talking about this now for a few weeks. You're the all, you are everything, and you condition yourself into specific renditions that you then believe and live out. So why are you believing that that old version is the absolute truth? Because you are creator. You are creator. You can invest your belief, your energy, your time, your attention into any version of yourself that you want. So just remember, successful time travel, successful reality creation involves the feeling good, the dopaminergic hit to collapse time. Because if you're not feeling it and you're repeating in vain, right? If you're repeating endlessly and it feels like work and it's tedious and it's tiresome and you're getting exhausted, that expands time, right? You're going to get the opposite effect. You will not successfully time travel. You will get caught in the trying desert. That's what I have found. You get caught in the trying desert where you are so committed to your old identity, to the old version of you, to the old rendition, to the old beliefs. You so refuse to let that go as a truth that you're stopping. You are caught here in between, right? Old you, new you, you're caught in between, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The distance, right? When it doesn't feel pleasant, when it doesn't at least feel neutral, you can say it with neutral. When you don't believe enough in your own infinite nature as a creator, that you are hung up on, well, this external truth is so true that I can't let it go. I can't let it go. You can do this. I believe in you. I believe in your successful ability to time travel, to create reality, to fully embody things, to fully let go of the past, because the old story doesn't bring you any pleasure anymore. Like you may look at it like the truth, but it doesn't bring you pleasure. And that is why you're being called to a new reality, right? That is why you have this inner desire, the drive, the ambition, the hope, the want, the yearn to go somewhere new and tell this new story. Shape your language around it. Because the new story brings you joy, right? The new story lights you up. It makes you feel alive. It gets you excited. You're like, oh my gosh, if this were true, if this is true, right? It brings you to life. And that's how we collapse time. That's how we time travel, is with our language when we are creating our reality. So I know this was a helpful video to you. Let me know what you thought. Drop a comment below. If you need a tool to help you recondition your mind to be a more pleasant place, grab it below. I have a free tool that I used. This is the same tool I use. This is the same thing I reference in a lot of my videos. The triangle, the 3 capacity triangle. This will help you recondition your mind. If your mind, you find you have a lot of repetitive, negative, unpleasant thoughts, right? We have 60,000 thoughts per day. 80% of them are negative and 95% are repetitive. So we constantly loop stuff. This tool will help interrupt that process and give you the opportunity to step back, reprogram your thoughts, reshape the course of your time travel, and get to the locations in time and space for real that you want to be as a manifestor. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Happy holidays.